Hey everyone, our topic was school-wide positive behavior support. What this is an intervention, school-wide positive behavior support. It's an evidence-based three-tier framework for improving and integrating all the data, systems, and practices affecting student outcomes. It uses systems, data, and practices to achieve the desired outcomes. The systems are the way that school operates their foundational systems, and SWPBS encourages an accurate and durable implementation of practices and produce use of data to achieve the best possible outcomes. We use the data to collect data about students every day in order for the school to use the data and monitor to evaluate the outcomes. Practice intervention. So we practice interventions and the strategy used to support systems at every level, and the outcomes include social competence and academic achievement, supporting and decision making, supporting student behavior, and supporting staff behavior as well. So like we said, this is a three-tier type system. The first one being primary prevention. It's directed towards all students in all different school settings. It involves the school, the family, and the community members. Primary, it teaches relevant social skills and provide frequent positive reinforcement for behaviors that are expected of students. It also is meant to create learning environments that discourage unacceptable behavior. Then we got the secondary prevention. It only applies to a small portion of students who need more support than primary prevention for social success. This is characterized as more intensive than primary and involves increased adult supervision and monitoring and function-based strategies. The last one is tertiary prevention. It's used for students when primary and secondary are not effective. This includes special educators, school psychologists, counselors, and behavioral specialists. The tier consists of team-based and comprehensive behavior intervention plans. And then if we look to the right, we have the graph here that just breaks down the three tiers and basically describes what is going on at each three tier. The history behind this. So this developed in the early 1970s. It was a group of teachers that began implementing applied behavior analysis on students with problem behaviors and hoped to reinforce positive behaviors. In 1981, a man named Randy Spierick, who studied under these teachers, began to publish their work and became known as PBS, or Positive Behavior Supports. And then when we got to the late 1990s, a guy named George Sigai and Rob Horner developed the Effective Behavior Supports Program, and this was eventually came to be called the Positive Behavior Interventions and Strategies. Now PBIS is used as a school-wide version of Positive Behavior Supports Program. So some of the benefits and drawbacks of this intervention is, we'll start with the benefits. It improves student outcomes. It reduces bullying behaviors, social and emotional competence, and it improves the academic performance. Another benefit is reduced exclusionary discipline. It reduces the suspensions, referrals, and restraints and exclusion of the students. It also improved teacher outcomes. The perception of the school safety, perception of teacher efficiency in school organization, health, and school climate. And then we got drawbacks to this intervention. To begin, shrinking resources. We have tighter budget, which means money needs to go elsewhere. Multiple competing and overlapping initiatives, harder to focus on just one goal. Fewer qualified personnel, high need for staff, and just not enough people applying. And less time. It takes a long time to implement this intervention. So some of the misconceptions that we have going on with this intervention is people tend to say SWPBS is just another program. Well, this is not true at all. SWPBS is a prevention-oriented process. People also say SWPBS is something new that was designed for children with disabilities. SWPBS has been around since the 1960s, made up of behavioral analysis, supports, and preventions, and is developed to improve how schools can improve behavioral practices while meeting the need of all students. And the last thing people tend to say is SWPBS is just a reward system that reduces intrinsic motivation. SWPBS gives students feedback on the precision of their social and academic performance. Occasionally positive reforms is used, but the framework does not rely solely on that. So we look at this intervention being applied. All the students are given the intervention. It gives academic support, social skills training, gives out positive reinforcement, which in turn can be used as a reward system, corrective discipline, and teaching school-wide expectations. And it also gives more services available to the students needing the more support. It gives self-management and comes up with behavioral support plans. So activities that involves here, teachers can implement SWPBS with activities and lessons in the classroom. Example of lesson plans types using PBS. Teaching school-wide expectations and appropriate behaviors and social skills. Students could be rewarded for following this, creating positive reinforcement. So if we look at the right, we start with the classroom, and the value we're trying to teach is respect, and some of the rules we give and the procedures on how to follow. And a routine example is creating a stimulus and the steps to create the stimulus and to happen. So one of the first journal review we have is an elevation of comprehensive behavior management program to improve school-wide behavior support. Basically, this journal is saying is it examines and approaches for implementing school-wide behavior management on middle schoolers. Behavior management approaches are appropriate school behavior, positive reinforcement of positive behavior, and constantly giving mild consequences for violations of rules. It gives data where examined for the target school and compared to schools not using management plans. It progresses was measured through the rewards given, referrals given, and surveys given to students. The results show that discipline referrals for 7th graders decreased along with their harassment and aggressive social behaviors at the target school. Students' perception of the school's safety also increased for the better, unlike the comparison schools. In the second journal we have here is the relationship of school-wide positive behavior support to academic achievement in the urban middle school. This is a 3-year longitude study that was examining the effectiveness of SWPBS on improving aspects of academic achievement. This was used school-wide elevation tool to assess behavioral support systems before and after the study, as well as monitoring other aspects of the program, such as acknowledgement of positive and appropriate behavior, academic performance, such as math and reading standardized test scores. SWPBS include evidence-based practices, systems, improvement, implementation, supports facultation, and a reward system. Result showed less office disciplinary referrals, less suspensions, which in turn led to more instructional time and improved performance. Results also showed increased standardized test scores in math and reading. And then to sum everything up, here's the sources that we used on the research stuff.